Welcome to Soul Science Podcast with Liz and Jacqueline. And today we wanted to share a little bit about who we are and why we're so obsessed with real healing. So Liz, do you want to start and share a little bit about who you are?
Absolutely. So I mentioned in a brief intro that I am an anesthesiologist. I am still board certified. So yes, I could deliver anesthesia. I left the operating room for a couple different reasons. The big one was my body shut down on me because I was not aligned. I was not in a job that made me happy or fulfilled me. That in and of itself could be its own podcast as to why that was. But long story short, I had surgery on my hand, and 3 surgeries on the same hand later, I am disabled from practicing anesthesia. So while I know how to do it up here, technically it would not be a good choice to do that. So, but I saw with over 20 years of the operating room, how lifestyle truly affects people's health. I mean, you come to the operating room when you are out of alignment, when you are out of balance, when you have disease taking over your body, which is what happens when you're out of alignment. And part of the reason why this was such an unfulfilling job is because doc keep me alive. I keep them alive for 2 hours in there. They go right back out and start eating the McDonald's. They're already 100 pounds overweight. They're smoking their cigarettes again. They're doing their cocaine. I'm like, you are going to end right back in the operating room and in the emergency room. And they do. So that, as a physician trying to heal and make things better, is very unfulfilling. So that is my background. I'm coming to soul science with, for sure, a hardcore science background. But what I saw in those 20 years is that the take a pill, fix the problem mentality that we all have been taught and has been so deeply ingrained in us our whole lives, it doesn't always work. So that gives us a lot of room to talk about the things that do work. And I'm excited, Jackie, to work with you for this because you, with your medical background, but you have transitioned also into different healing modalities. So tell everybody about that.
Yeah, so I started out as an X-ray tech. So I was a radiologic technologist. I didn't read the X-rays, I took them. So I was the one doing the barium enemas and the GIs. And the last part, when I was working in the hospital, I was doing mammograms. So I learned a lot about the body and how the body gets healed or fixed in our medical system, in our healthcare. And then years later, I became a massage therapist, and I had my first massage on a cruise ship, and it just shut my mind down. And I was so relaxed that I knew at some point I was going to do that. So, and it happened after I got married and had 2 kids. I was still working in the X-ray department. And you are so right that our healthcare system doesn't really heal. It's like a Band-Aid. It's fixing you in the moment, and it's training us every time we go to the doctor's office. They train us to say, well, you're getting old. Of course, you're going to have aches and pains. Of course, things aren't going to work right. And I saw a lot of this when I started taking my parents to the doctors. Like, what are you people doing? So when I became a massage therapist, I just kept learning because I love learning. Once you learn modalities that really heal the body, then you want to learn more. And I learned massage therapy, Bowen therapy, which is a neuromuscular repatterning of the body, EFT, emotional freedom technique, ancestral energy clearing, inner child healing, all these healing modalities that work with the energy, not just the physical, the energy of the person, the individual. And that's what really sets the healing going. And then
so awesome.
It's everything's possible. You can heal from everything, right?
Everything is possible. And I'm going to learn so much from you, Jackie. And for everybody who will be watching, Jackie and I are new to each other. We were kind of set up on a blind date, I said, and it's true. We were kind of mashed together. And it was love at first sight, but we're still like learning about each other. I mean, we're just in the early dating phase, but things are going very well. So I'm going to learn a lot about all of those different modalities. I mean, I had done my yoga teacher training and taught some classes, but as a single mom and full-time anesthesiologist, and then taking a kitchen experiment, turning it into a small baby business of making candles, there wasn't a lot of time left for regular teaching of yoga. But through that, I learned, about chakras and about mind body connection, the importance of meditation. And, now I put candles in the products, or candles, put crystals in the products I create. And the very first time that I was ever really exposed to crystals, other than being like the geology kind of dorky kid who, when you would go and you're traveling with your parents and they have all the bins with the pretty crystals and rocks, I'm like, please,
Mhm.
mom, can I have some? I always loved them, but didn't know anything about the power, the vibrational healing that they can do. And in my yoga teacher training, a gal next to me in our very first downward dog, all these crystals poured out of her sports bra. And me, being grounded in science at the time, was like, what in the hell, cuckoo banana stuff did I sign up for? Like, what have I got myself into? And I was the non-meditator, the serious type A person. And I still call myself a reformed type A. So all of you type A people, like, this is a true, ongoing pathology that we need to fix to be present and be in the moment. But, when I was meditating in my yoga training, I was like peeking at people, one eye, like, really? Are we doing this? What's everybody else doing? I was looking around the room after like 30 seconds. I couldn't do it. And now I meditate for 20 minutes every day. It's a game changer.
It is a game changer. That's an incredible story to go from being a doctor in the medical field to becoming a yoga instructor. That's quite a journey.
Well, it was because of my type A. So I've always been very interested in health and fitness. I was an athlete, in high school, always doing, did dance and soccer and cheerleading. And if there was a thing you could do, I was physically doing it. And I would run a lot. And that was my stress relief, because I wasn't meditating and I wasn't present, and I was living a life of checking the box and got to do this next, got to do this. And you get very caught up in that. And it's a very kind of frenetic thing. And running was my release. Well, I'm 53 now, but when you start getting into your 40s, your body can't take running 5 miles a day. Like, all that pounding, things hurt. I couldn't bend over the sink to wash my face at night because my back hurt so badly. So I started searching for other things to do for fitness, and yoga was one of them. But I will, full confession, I admit, before Shavasana, I would get up and leave. I'm like, I don't have time to lay down. I'm done with this exercise. Check, done with checking that box. I'm out the door. And now I'm like, bring it on. Like, just let me lay here.
That is so funny.
We are all a work in progress, but yeah, that's so. And the more I did the yoga for a physical fitness, and I, like, something in me knew, like, I needed this, even though my brain didn't know I needed it. My body was telling me to slow the F down. I just kept going back. And then, like you said, with your love for learning, like, you wanted to learn more. That's why I did the teacher training. I'm like, I need to know more about this whole yoga thing. What's it all about?
Mhm. Yeah, and you hit a real spot. Like, I was that person who was going, doing, over yesing and overdoing my whole life. Even on vacation, I'd fill it up. Like, I'd have my list and I had to, like, do everything. And it got to me where I hit the wall. I hit the wall in my marriage, in my life, in my business. And life just kind of hit me over the head and said, this isn't working anymore. And that's when I really shifted gears and said, I'm going to massage therapy school and I'm going to do all these things and I'm going to learn even more. And oh my God, I take more breaks now today than ever.
Perfect. but it opened a whole new chapter. Like you transformed yourself after that first massage. I mean, all the things were there. You just weren't accepting that, knowing that that's what you needed to do until you had that massage on that cruise ship, which is fascinating to me. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It was truly life-changing. And I had never thought, I mean, I myself had been interested in alternative medicine, but never really thought of ever doing it. And that massage really showed me the power of what's possible.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and so often we don't get shown that, or we are sort of in that rut or groove, or have been told so many negative things about, alternative medicine. My father was an orthopedic surgeon, which is part of the reason why I went to medical school, to seek dad's approval.
Mhm.
We know this now. It only took me, whatever, 30 years to figure that one out. But he would always say, "Oh, chiropractors, they're quacks. They don't know what they're doing. They
Mhm.
don't know what they're doing." And it just becomes ingrained, like these things. And even the
Yeah.
name alternative medicine, alternative is bad. Like, what is, like, that's not good. It's crazy. And then even today, I was talking to someone recently who is in medical school. They have a half of a day at Johns Hopkins University learning about alternative medicine. Like, really? Come on. I mean, they've been practicing acupuncture in China for hundreds, if not
Thousands.
thousands of
Yes.
years, right? The benefits are documented, and yet it is given, I guess, a half a day between like 8 and noon, like break for lunch and go back to your
Wow.
labs, to discuss like all that's out there, all these different healing modalities. So I can't wait until we can bring on and different people to share their knowledge, and we can share our knowledge, because I think it's going to provide so much value for people who, and there's so many mixed messages. Like, what do you
Mm.
believe, especially as a woman who has, you know, in the middles of life where the shit starts to head south. And I'm not just talking about your breasts, like everything is
Everything.
changing. Like, you don't
Yeah.
sleep, the hot flashes, the kids are transitioning out of the house, relationships are changing with friends because you're finally
Mhm.
realizing I don't have forever to live anymore. And do I want to keep these toxic people around me all the time now?
Mhm.
No. So, I mean, you kind of cut out people who are not bringing value, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
You may just happen to be married to them. I was. Yeah, that happened. But yeah, there's something about being in the middle of your life and wanting to spend what's left of it as best as you possibly can. And I think finally we start taking care of ourselves. But it's hard because there's so much out there. Like, what do you do? Where do you start? Where do you start?
It is super hard putting yourself first. I have a really good friend who is calls herself the self-care queen, and self-care is so important. But what I was realizing was that I'm not going to put my self-care on top of the list unless I loved myself. And
Mhm.
a lot of my clients, by the time they get to me, there's not a lot of self-love. And
Yeah.
it's really hard to live your life when you don't love yourself, when you're not putting yourself first. And what are we, as moms, what are we teaching our
Oh
kids?
my gosh. Yeah.
Right?
Especially our girls, like we're their role models, boys too, but girls especially, like, they
Mhm.
want to be mom. This is what they know. Then you're
Yeah.
putting them into that kind of rest of their life, that relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not.
Do you think that's a boundaries problem? Like a problem with boundaries for like lack of self-love? Like we let people walk all over us, or why do we do that? I mean, that's a whole nother episode. We'll talk about that for sure. But you know what do
But
you
I,
see
I
in
think
society?
it's what we're taught
Mm,
and what we learn from our caregivers. I think girls, especially, I know when I was being raised, I wasn't really asked, what do you want to do, Jack? What do you want today? What do you need? No, I followed my mother's lead, who did everything in the house, and who, no matter how she was feeling or what she had on her plate, she just kept saying yes over and over again. So we learn that as a child. We watch our parents, our caregivers, and that becomes our programming. That becomes our normal. And then it's really hard to break it, after, when you're 40, 50 years old and you're like, this just is not working for me. So it's a reprogramming of our mindsets,
Yeah.
of who we are, because let's face it, look at the Kardashians, look how much judgment they get because they do everything for themselves.
Right.
I don't know how much they really love themselves, but they're always splurging and spoiling themselves, right? But we feel that that's wrong.
Right. It's indulgent. It's a bad thing.
It's a
It's
bad
like
thing.
self-care has in some ways become selfish, but or then, you see the t-shirts or the pillows embroidered, self-care is not selfish. But you're right. It's still like a connotation like, but there's laundry and your kids need help with this. And oh, you're leaving your husband to go spend the day at the day spa or go on a yoga retreat. What's wrong with you? Like, yeah.
My mother, I still hear my mother, well, who's going to take care of the kids? I'm like, their father.
Right. Like they're part of this too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the golf weekends were never off the table, right? But the minute you have kids, the meditation retreats are like, well, are you really going to go to that?
Girls trip. What? But you're right. Like the Saturday all day golf outing, that's a free pass for the guys. That's how it always works.
Yeah.
And
So I don't know if we're getting off topic, but these are all the things that we want to talk about that impact your health, impact you living your life on your terms and speaking up for you
exactly.
unapologetically.
Yes, because it's not health. It's not what size jeans you wear. It's not whether you have the whatever hamburger, or the Impossible Burger, or salad for lunch. That's all part of it, but it's so much deeper. It's all of it. It's caring for you in so many different ways. Not like just go run a marathon. And the big myth, I think, Jackie, too, is like it's the same mentality as the take a pill, fix the problem. It's the all or nothing. Like, oh, well, I'm on a diet. I am going to operate from this, scarcity mindset and not eat anything but, water and celery or, juice. And that's it. I'm on a juice fast, or I'm eating my nachos and wings and I'm like on the couch in sweatpants,
Mm-hmm.
No. And you can go for a walk, and that is moving your body and can be a moving meditation and can be exercise. You do not have to run 26 miles with a number on your chest. Like it is not all or nothing. And it's not one and done, because you've reinvented yourself from where you were. I've reinvented myself. And I think we can help people, discuss and talk about the tools, like for you to reinvent yourself, for everybody listening. Like we all have things in our lives that aren't, as they should be, or not what you really want, or there's like this kind of glimmer in your mind, like, is this all? No, it's not. Like you have, if you're 50, you can easily live a solid 40 more years or longer of like fully active with it, doing what you want to do on your own terms life. Do you just give up and become a couch dweller and like, sorry, life is going to be what happens to me. I have no control. No.
And that's one of the messages too to get out, is that it is possible to shift and heal on deeper levels. It is possible to get your health back. We don't need all the medications that they're giving us. Let's start talking about supplements and how to fuel the body, keep it the energy up, keep it healthy longer, so that you can do whatever you want to do when you're 70, 80, 90 years old, and you're still enjoying your life.
Absolutely. I mean, I said, I saw how it was like my own little science experiment there in the operating room. You would have
Mm.
like people 60 years old. Somebody comes in, they're 150 pounds overweight, their teeth are falling out, and it's not all, and it is not a monetary thing. It is not always like, oh, I don't have access, or oh, I don't have money. That is not true. It is a level of self-care and self-love and just deciding in your life what's important. And to, this population of patients, health was not important. Everything is fine until it's not. And then like that 60 years old is so old, with the diabetes and the heart disease, the obesity, all of the problems that go with the strokes, the amputations that start happening because of the uncontrolled diabetes, and they are not going to live long and prosper. And then you have the 60-year-old who has made some better decisions and been more enlightened in the process. And again, it's not a financial or an access thing, because it costs you nothing. A lot of these techniques that we can teach people, or costs very little from a financial investment, especially in this day and age when you have access on videos to so many things. But that 60-year-old is active and social and like doing all the, what really are the things that are going to help you live long and live well.
Yeah.
And heal, and just, it's fascinating to me how you take two people of the exact same biologic age and like, wow, you are like a 90-year-old in your physical mental body, and the other person is like a 30-year-old in their physical mental body. And that's what we're going to talk about on Soul Science too, is the connection so much with the body and mind, because traditional Western medicine does not, they're psychiatry and psychology, they're their own specialty for the mind. Nobody else talks about it. The answer for any mental problem is here's your pills, here's your prescription bottle, go get that fixed. And that, I'm going to say it, I totally disagree with that. It is not a take a pill, fix it. Yeah.
And then that pill will need you to take another pill and another pill.
Uh-huh.
And then it will lead you to make sure that you're doing your blood work every 3 months, no matter what else you have going on in your life.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're a slave to the healthcare system, because it becomes this cycle. And, oh, but doctor, I'm having these horrible leg cramps because, well, it really is a side effect of that pill that I'm making you take, but I'm going to give you another pill to fix the leg cramps.
Yeah. And let's not talk about drinking water, right? All you have to do is tell these people to drink water because they're dehydrated. But
oh, take a pill. Yes, I have mine here. It has lemon in it. So here's my water. It is not a cocktail, just in case you're wondering.
it's a beautiful glass of lemon water.
It is beautiful. Well, and because here's the thing, my hands don't work. So this was the surgical hand. So it's still kind of stuck in the royal wave, but I'm missing my title and my tiara. But I can't pick up a glass. And this hand has arthritis in it also. So, but I can hold it like this. So that's just that's our tip number 1 on Soul Science. Yes, you can elevate your drinking water experience by putting it in an easy to carry wine glass if you have arthritis in your hands. Tip 1.
And we're off to a good start.
We are. We're already changing lives, Jackie. It's good.
It is good. So this is what we'll be talking about. We will be going into more detail about medicine and how to stay healthy and what works and what we have found doesn't work.
Perfect. And I think if we want to do a teaser for our next episode, do you want to say, Jackie? We're going to talk about, women and why we feel so obligated to please. It's sort of this whole, we were taught to be good girls and we take care of everybody else but ourselves. We touched on it a little bit, but there's a lot more to be uncovered on that one.
That will be a juicy conversation.
I can't wait.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, guys. See you soon. Bye, Jackie.